about winning that championship.
A locked-in look from Tony Bennett, trying to win a share at least for the 6th time in the last 10 years.
That's incredible. that is incredible. That's why he's a future Hall of Fame coach. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He just continues to win. Still very young in his career, and he's going against a very good up-and-coming coach in Kenny Payne.
Whose Louisville team is here on the road in the regular season finale. Jayden Gardner won the tap, and Virginia controls in the second meeting between these teams. Virginia won the first in Louisville by 3 in a tightly contested game. Kihei Clark on senior day.
That's just vintage basketball for Virginia right now. Get a curl cut, get a flare cut for the man that passed it. In that case, Kihei Clark, get him a flare 3. Couldn't have drawn up the open play any better if you're Tony Bennett.
You see the Louisville starters. Brandon Huntley-Hatfield returns to the starting lineup. The big man, 5 in black, the Tennessee transfer. Here he is matched up with Ben Vanderplas, and Huntley-Hatfield. 2 strong, rebound Gardner. Usual starters for Tony Bennett. Great backcourt. You love when Clark, Beekman, and this guy Franklin are connected. And Armaan Franklin draws a foul.
And that's exactly what they do. Armaan Franklin, when he's on the right side, he loves to go left. This gives him an opportunity on that side to get to that left hand off that curl, draws a foul. I liked early on. We'll watch as this continues to happen, Mike. I think Louisville's got to run their ball screens higher. They've got to force the 4s and 5s of Virginia to come out and guard them. They like to get after that ball screen, where L. Ellis likes to take on the screener's defender. The higher it is, the better it'll be for Louisville today, because they need to get some pace in that half-court offense, because Louisville's at their best when they're in a drive and kick offense, and they have not done that consistently, but that's when they're at their best.
See Kenny Payne, who put it to us this way about that drive and kick and the continuous offense. We can't have the one-pass shots and the no-pass shots. You got to keep moving it.
He's exactly right. And what happens sometimes is they'll take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, 3 good possessions, and then have 2 bad ones because they get away from what's working. And that drives you nuts as a coach.
Ellis missed it after initiating with that high ball screen within the flow of the offense. And here's Virginia already up 5-zip, less than 90 seconds in. Reese Beekman, the junior, pops to Vanderplas. Can't knock it down. And the rebound hauled in by Mike James, the redshirt freshman.
Well, Virginia's going to get that curl cut. They've had it 3 straight possessions. They're going to get it all afternoon because Louisville is trailing that screen and not bumping as much when the man curls, which is going to free up Vanderplas. Nice shot by Withers. They need him to play well today. They need him to be in double figures both ways, points and rebounds.
Yeah, he averages 9, 6'9", redshirt junior from Charlotte. And in the one-on-one, he got it to go in the mid-range.
Great setup. Virginia is so good at planting their foot, setting up their cut, running their man into a screen. And there's Franklin going left.
To find Gardner. Swirls it out. You love him in that spot.
I love him. That's a rare miss for him in that area. He faded a little bit, but he's as good a 15 to 17-foot catch-and-shoot shooter as there is in the nation.
Beekman picked it off. Clark off the shot fake. Probing. Gardner, the trailer. Armaan Franklin knocks it down.
Inside out 3. Very good basketball play. Gardner didn't have the shot, makes the kick out to Franklin. That's one of the problems for Louisville, late closeouts.
Rich, thank you very much. We welcome you to Charlottesville, Virginia, for Virginia, ranked 13th in the country, and Louisville. Alongside Tom Crean, Mike Monaco with you. It's the Cavaliers up 8-2 early on Louisville, with the Who's trying to win another share of a league title, Tom, here in the ACC.
And Mike, there's nothing like it. Winning a championship never gets old, even for Tony Bennett, because this could be his 6th. It's your program, it's your team, it's an individual day, each and every day to get to this place, and they've got to finish it off inside of this 2-hour period to get that championship that they worked so hard for from last spring. That's what you play this regular season for.
They're sitting at 14-5 in the ACC, tied at the top with 2 other teams, Miami and Pitt, who meet later today. So with a win, Virginia's got a share of what would be their 6th conference crown in the last 10 years.
They still got time. Run it again. Go up again.
Here's L. Ellis, the ACC's second leading scorer, and Ellis draws a foul with the shot clock winding down.
Not a bad play. Louisville right now wants to get that ball screen up around 28, 30 feet away, which is really, really important. Now, okay, taking it on, which he was able to do, he's got to come tighter off Vanderplas right there and not allow him to catch up. If he does that, he's got an and one. But right before that, he tried to split the trap. He's got to not only try to split the trap, at times he's going to have to try to take on the big man, because when L. Ellis has been able to attack the drop coverage and attack the screener's defender, he's been way better. And right now he's going to have to navigate that trap up top.
That's something you said to Louisville head coach Kenny Payne in his first season, of course. And Cards going through it at 2-17 at the bottom of the ACC, but that's one of their keys, where the ball screen starts and then flow offensively against Virginia's great D.
Absolutely, because L. Ellis has got to get downhill. Louisville is not good when they play off 0, 1, or 2 passes. When they move the ball, it gives them a chance to drive long closeouts, to make the next pass, to get an open three, to get an offensive rebound position. When they start trying to do it too fast, that's not good.
Armaan Franklin. This is from deep. Ryan Dunn in off the bench with an offensive rebound. 13 in white, the very talented true freshman.
Now they've gone zone on the offensive rebound. They're trying to match back up. Now they sit back into the zone. But this is where they've, awareness. Got to have awareness.
Kihei Clark to Ryan Dunn.
They are so good. Kihei Clark is so good at not only finding cutters, but finding drop-offs. And what you can't do, whether you're man or zone, okay, is you cannot just watch the ball and allow people to get open behind you.
Kihei Clark at the controls one last time here in Charlottesville. Fifth-year senior here on senior day. Though he got recognized last year for it, didn't go through the pregame ceremonies earlier today as Jayden Gardner gets a block on L. Ellis, who recovers, has to get it up, and he does.
But he got fortunate because that's not a good shot. Okay, you have the roll, you have the throwback with your left hand. L. Ellis, you can't take a challenge three-point shot and be in this game on the road at Virginia.
They'll check it at the monitor when we come back. In so many places across the country, it's senior day, and it is always a beautiful sight and emotional as well, as it was for Jayden Gardner, a great player here at Virginia the last 2 years.
Well, senior day, and he's such a good player. He was really good for Joe Dooley at East Carolina. He's been very good for Tony Bennett here. As I said, one of the, I think he's the best 15 to 17-foot catch and shoot type player in the elbow range. Senior day before the game is hard. It is hard. All right, and when you, oh my goodness, he looks 10 there.
Right, a guy who went through senior day last year.
Yeah.
That was his second ever game, how he looked. Kihei Clark.
Oh, yeah, don't let that baby face fool you, because that guy is lethal when it comes to winning, when it comes to scoring, delivering the ball, making the right play.
Jayden Gardner turns around and knocks it down. Just by the way, housekeeping-wise, they had a long look at the monitor during the commercial break, and they ruled a shot clock violation that Louisville did not get it off in time with L. Ellis, so they trail by 8.
Well, L was lucky to get that rebound, because you just can't take a challenge 3 over 2 people like that. You know, play and take on the ball screen. You've got the defenders coming up high. Utilize the space that they're giving you. Just come off the screen and play.
Shot clock winding down. Here's J.J. Traynor. You think he is a big key for the Cards today. And now Mike James slashing on the baseline, and he gets the roll with a tough take.
Good drive. I don't think they can live in the shot clock right now. Okay, I think they've got to look to score somewhere in that 14, 12, 10 mark on the clock. But that's a great move by Mike James. He didn't panic, drove it out of the corner. Good finish.
They go back to man now. First meeting between these teams in Louisville. There was no zone. You were curious to see if Kenny Payne would go to some zone. He's shown a little so far.
Well, I think when you come on the road, it's so good to be able to mix it up. But at the end of the day, there's such great 5-man movement with Virginia that you've got to mix up what they're seeing, because right now we've probably seen 10, 11 curl cuts, all right, already in this game. And they are so good not only at the curl, but then there's a screen happening on the other side of the floor, which is where they get their back cut. So they're going to back cut you, and they're going to flare screen you across the top off those curls. You don't want to chase that all game.
You saw one of the curls from Gardner at the elbow. And now Ryan Dunn at the line.
He's got to stay on the line. Don't walk off the line, Ryan. Stay on the line. You know, players so many times, they either fade back early or they fall forward early rather than staying in their shot. Plant your feet, shift your weight, hold your follow through. Don't walk off the line.
What a bright future Ryan Dunn has, and the future has arrived here in Charlottesville. A guy who was a late bloomer. Amazingly, he couldn't dunk until his senior year of high school. Does a nice job with what you're talking about right there.
Yeah, he stayed on the line. His feet, he shifted his weight, kept it there, and he didn't fade forward or backwards. There you go. Take it on. This is where Louisville's at their best. They had the closeout. Didn't drive it right away.
Kamari Lance,
still
talented freshman, number 42 in our ESPN 100 with the bucket.
That's a very good play. They got Isaac McNeely, who's got to become better in the closeout game. He's an outstanding offensive player for a freshman, but he's got to get better guarding the ball. And right there, they took it on. No wasted dribbles right now by Lands, by James. That's a positive for the Louisville offense.
Francisco Caparo with the poster. Hello.
That's senior day. On senior day, he can hear him. It was such a great finish. He never dropped the ball, caught it above his shoulders, kept going. Great pass.
The fifth-year senior from Argentina, who they call Papi. Here's Sidney Curry going to work on Caparo and back out to Lands with 10 to shoot. Now Ellis off the bounce on Beekman, one of the best defenders in the ACC, and it's an offensive foul on L. Ellis.
Watch the vision on this pass. It's just like ping, ping. The pass is made immediately. All right, never dropped his head, never wasted it, threw it right there. Great roll because they're getting caught, all right, in no man's land on the screen. They're not staying with the roller. They're not taking away the curler. And that's what happens. They recognized it probably out of that timeout, knew what they were going to get.
You like the way that Virginia was flowing offensively in a win Tuesday over Clemson, and that has continued. That's Franklin again. He's got another three and an early 8 points.
Well, that's why, Kenny, if the game plan is to mix defenses, it's the way to go because they are so good at coming off screens, and Louisville's trying to trail those screens. And if you're late at all, especially on the baseline, the one place you can really move screens is on the baseline, all right? And the bottom line is you've got to recognize, are you trailing or you shoot? Are you going over the top? You cannot be late.
10-point margin. Shot clock winding down on James. Had it roll off the rim. And it belongs to Virginia when we come back with the Cavaliers up by 10 early on.
Now, Franklin does a great job of coming along the baseline on this, all right? As he takes off, you see him come off. He doesn't hesitate. They're late. The screen moves up on James. There's no communication on the switch.
The New York Life ACC men's basketball tournament.
That tournament is so strong, and it'll be that way this year. I mean, when you're putting people in there, there's a lot of people. Everybody has something on the line. And the bottom line, if you can advance your seeding and high-quality wins is big. Great move by Kenny Payne, changing it to zone here. I like what he's doing out of timeouts. Now they just got to be active. The biggest weakness of Louisville this year has been their hands. There's not enough impact on the ball, not enough pressure on the ball, and when they trap, they don't deflect enough balls. Well, there's a good one right there. They've got their hands up.
Good hands.
They've got to take
Curry.
vision. They've got to take vision away from their opponent from Virginia today.
They've got L. Ellis, ACC's second leading scorer again, out of the game right now. And Fabio Basili, true freshman, 11 in black, is running the point after getting some run earlier this week for Louisville in the Tuesday loss against Virginia Tech. Curry with the shot clock winding down yet again. Caparo on him, Basili hoists, and it's the second shot clock violation forced by Virginia and their 24th this season.
That is just big-time one-on-one defense. Virginia's electing not to go with the double team right now to create the turnover. You create a turnover like that in one-on-one defense, look at him move his feet. Gafaro's moving his feet. The hands are active. Curry's got to try to go by him, attack one of his feet, and go by him. But in that situation, there was nowhere to go when you're just dribbling the ball. That's where they've got to make an attack. Great minutes by Gafaro.
And you see the note on the turnovers for Louisville. It has been a problem all season. At times, Kenny Payne has said that's the elephant in our locker room, the turnovers. And Virginia will force you into the most of any team in the ACC, and then they take care of it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what they've got to do. I mean, when you're turning the ball over, and I'd say the same thing about tough jump shots. They turn into like live ball turnovers.
McNeely missed it from deep, and it belongs to Louisville.
When people play like Francisco Cafaro just played like that, it just raises not only the energy of the team, but the entire building. You hear the ovation he got early in the game. I mean, people love when people are just blue-collar, getting after it, and the defensive masterpieces that Tony Bennett's been able to put together over years is very highly respected inside this home crowd.
Dunn cleared the miss from Lands. Ellis almost took it away from Kihei Clark. Tane Murray is into the game as well. 10 in white. Sophomore who got some minutes earlier this week in that Tuesday win over Clemson. McNeely, you said known for his shooting, finds Gardner in that mid-range spot.
It's just, it goes straight up. What he's done such a better job at Virginia is he never wastes dribbles. He drives in a straight line. The spin is efficient. And a lot of times like that, he doesn't even dribble. He just goes right up and shoots the ball. Tremendous touch, tremendous feel from close range.
Different than the guy you remembered at East Carolina a few years back. Ellis fights it up and gets fouled.
Yeah, that's going to be big today. They've got, when you get a foul, like Ellis just did, with the court spaced, and now you create a one-on-one down the middle of the floor, that's good offense. All right, when you're trying to drive on a set defense, that's not good offense. That kind of ball movement, they made a couple of passes, he gets fouled, you can live with that.
So Ellis goes to the stripe. The foul, the first on Kihei Clark.
He's shooting 86% from the free throw line, averaging 20 in the last 5. He's got to have a great game. He's got to have a great floor game, scoring game, but a tremendous leadership game.
Hey, another full day of college hoops over on ESPN as well, plus the app. Top teams in the Big 12 square off at 4 Eastern. Texas and Kansas in a top 10 showdown. Then we told you about Duke, Carolina, and then 10 Eastern, the top teams in the Pac-12. Number 4 UCLA trying to grab a number 1 seed against number 8 Arizona. North Carolina, the second team out, according to Joey Brackett. So that is a crucial game at Chapel Hill.
Oh, there's no question. And Duke is playing better. Duke is playing better. That game will not only come down to the rebounding, but it will come down so much to North Carolina's shot selection, especially from the perimeter. And will they find Baycott? And can Pete Nance not only facilitate scoring, but be a good passer in the high-low game?
Gardner goes to work on the inside for Virginia.
He just overpowering them inside. And they come out of the time. I like the going to the press by Louisville, but you have to put up more resistance at the rim. You have to have more impact on the ball, more resistance at the rim in a post-up situation.
Cavaliers have made 6 of their last 7 shots. The lead is a dozen, and Louisville's got Zan Payne, Kenny Payne's son, a walk-on 23 in black into the game in this first half. Too strong from him, and Gardner the rebound.
Yeah, and see there's nothing wrong with that drive. What's wrong is Louisville's not getting to the offensive glass. You cannot assume that the ball is going to go in on a drive to the bucket. At least get 1 or 2 to the glass before you sprint back. This is where they can't get stagnant and stay in this game. They've got to continue to get movement and not try to turn this into a one-on-one driving game.
Vanderplas on the face-up. Short. So if you're Louisville, against the tempo Virginia plays, how many would you be comfortable sending to the offensive glass?
Oh, you've got to get, I would say 2. But again, here's the situation. Don't be in no man's land. Sprint back.
Trainer, no. And no offensive rebound, 1 and done for the Cards.
Not a bad shot for him. He's been playing better. He's got some versatility. He faded on that shot, but that's an open 3 that he can take. They can't be in a hurry. It's a long game. Went under the screen.
McNeely couldn't make them pay.
They've got to run when they can run. Get into the secondary break in this drag screen, just like this.
Good hands, though, from Vanderplas, who goes 2-on-1. Back to Beekman for 2.
See, that's Mike James. Get back, Mike James. Get back and try to break the play up. Don't assume that it's a layup. That's what happens in a turnover. You can't have a 2-on-1 and then have a guy jogging back to get into the play.
Cavaliers are rolling up 14 after the strip and the score.
Great hands. Great hands. He's got to be stronger coming through that trap.
All right, Tom Crean, you want Louisville with high ball screens for Ellis, but why doesn't this work?
Well, this is why it's 10-0 on points off turnovers. All right, Trader is right there. Set the screen. Now, Ellis has got to do a better job of getting his left foot in the line of the screen, but there's an old term called the partnership of screening. It's on both guys. But Trader sets the slip, so Ellis never has a chance to take on Vanderplas. He could split it if there's a screen. He could take him on. He's not strong enough with the ball. There's the trap. There's the bucket. And Mike James has got to get back in the play. You're on the road. You got to sell your hustle out on every play.
It's part of 6 turnovers
for 10
Louisville.
points.
Yep. Virginia has cashed in. They lead by 14 again. With a win today, the Cavaliers clinch at least a share of the ACC regular season title, with whoever wins in the Miami Pitt game later on tonight in Coral Gables.
Good offensive possession, open 3. That's where Withers has got to go straight up. He has a tendency to fade to his left when he misses. Great set right here. UConn and Kevin Ollie went to a national championship. That was their main action back in the day when they had Napier and Boatwright. And that's a great double screen action that the Virginia has been using more and more lately.
They double the post on Huntley Hatfield and force a turnover out of the hands of Withers.
Yeah, well, Beekman's has got as quick a hands as anybody in this gym right now, but when they throw it to him like that, that's an easy steal. Louisville's just got to get back to the baseball analogy of quit trying to hit home runs and hit some singles. Keep it simple. Keep the ball moving.
Vanderplas got free, a blown assignment by the Cards.
Yeah, they're just all year long, and I know this drives Kenny Payne and that staff nuts. The communication defensively has not been good, and the switching, too many times the switch is called by the man being screened than by the man that's actually setting the screen, which is where it should be called.
James muscles in on Beekman, and Mike James will go to the free throw line.
As we watch this play now, this is just absolute. Brandon Huntley Hatfield steps up for no reason. All right, whether he was going to switch, whether he was going to help on the curl, that's a complete miscommunication, as we can see from him going back. There's no need to step up like that if you're Brandon Huntley Hatfield. All right, there's no need. All right, if you're going to switch it, that's fine, but there's no need. Stay with your man. Bump the curl. He didn't even curl. Stay with yours. That's where they carve you up, because they find a way to hit the slips.
We chatted with Kenny Payne pregame today. He was upbeat, he was positive, but again, he used the same verb we've heard him use throughout this season, that he's trying to drag guys along in year 1, taking over his alma mater.
Well, he's not used to that. He's not used to that as a player. He wasn't used to it at Oregon. He wasn't used to it at Kentucky. And he's not used to it with the Knicks, and that takes time. But I was really impressed with how upbeat he was. He knows exactly where he is right now, but I think he's got a pretty good handle on what he's got to do to get it better. And there's no doubt it's going to start, when this season ends, it's going to start getting back in that gym immediately with that team.
Franklin, no dice from deep, but then it's off Devin Reed. And by the way, for Louisville, they just got to town here in the Commonwealth of Virginia a few hours ago. They didn't take off today until 9 a.m. because of the weather and the tornado warnings back in Kentucky last night. They kept getting delayed, so you see how this day has played out for them.
Well, that part of the country, great slip by Beekman. That part of the country is going through it. I saw 475,000 homes without power in Kentucky last night. There were deaths. I mean, it's just tragic and it's sad on so many levels. So they're probably very fortunate that they were able to come. But again, sometimes that change-up of energy can help you. It hasn't helped them take care of the basketball better today, but they're playing hard. They're just not playing efficient with the ball, and the communication defensively has been what's been their problem throughout the season, and that's something that you can control. You may not be able to control that you're not blocking all the shots and getting all the steals, but you can control your communication on switches and playing the ball, but seeing your man, which is so important to do defensively.
The bucket by Mike James was the first made basket by Louisville in more than 8 minutes. And now Huntley Hatfield forces the Franklin turnover.
That's a great defensive play by Brandon Huntley Hatfield. He stayed with his man. They thought they had the slip. He gets his hands up. They're running the other way.
James got bumped. No foul called. Ellis rises. Can't hit.
Yeah, he faded. It was a good pass. He faded. He's got to get a bigger step. He's actually too close to the three-point line there. He's got to get more of a step because he's a left-right shooter. But he's got to hold his follow-through, not fade back.
Beekman, the junior. got to the logo right at the free throw line, and it'll stay with the Cavaliers.
Well, good shot. They are so good in the mid-range game, Virginia. They are so good at the curl game, and what makes them so unique is they are very, very good catching the ball on the right side and being able to curl with their left hand. They're not a one-hand team by any stretch of the imagination. Screen the screener.
And now Clark off a screen with Gardner posting and a mismatch on Kihei Clark. Off the bounce on Huntley Hatfield. The kick for McNeely. And a good block out there from James, but he gets whistled for a foul on the rebounding action, cleaning out Ben Vanderplas.
Well, that was such a good play by Kihei Clark, because what happens a lot of times, they switch Brandon Huntley Hatfield at the 5 on him. Too many guards will settle for that shot, right? He does a great job driving him. Here comes the help. He makes the kick out. It's just a missed 3. But that was a great decision by Kihei.
And a long career of good decisions from Kihei Clark, closing it down, as we told you, here in Charlottesville, as Gardner went to work, couldn't muscle it up, and here comes Louisville down a dozen.
There's a drag. Good screen.
Reed swirls one out, and Vanderplas the rebound.
I'd like to see an L. He had the screener's man in the paint. He likes those defenses when they're dropped off, take them on and attack the rim. But it's an open 3, you can live with that. But you got to try something right now to get to that foul line.
All started with a better screen, similar to the one you had broken down earlier. Driving kick for Beekman. Yes! And a look back at the Louisville bench from the normally quiet Reese Beekman.
Well, he's got a lot of pride, and you know what he does? He's got a lot of improvement. His three-point shooting has improved every year since his freshman year here under Tony Bennett at Virginia. And that's the one part for him to be the NBA player that he's destined to be, that he's got to become more and more consistent at.
Good answer from Mike James, who's got 9. And when you talk to this Louisville coaching staff, they rave about the redshirt freshman Mike James, his work ethic, and how they would have 5 of him if they could.
Well, that's the bottom line for them, is that he's got to get better, because he's somebody you can build through. Not maybe build around, but you can build through. And that was a very good shot. They got the ball reversed. They made the next pass. That's the way Louisville's got to be in this game.
Virginia by 12.
And I saw him do it with numerous people. That every tribute that you have, and I saw Wally Walker before the game, and it's alumni weekend. I'm sure there are some phenomenal stories and remembrances of him. But that's my remembrance, how this legendary coach treated a mid-20s assistant and just made me feel like I was a coach, right? Like when you're in your mid-20s and you're doing this job and you got a legend like that that's good to you, that's awesome stuff.
Like you belonged.
No question, but I think that's why his players loved playing for him.
That's beautifully said.
Virginia foul, 13, Ryan Dunn.
Brian Dunn commits the foul on Jalen Withers in a late shot clock scenario. Low-scoring first half, as you might expect. Number 13, Virginia, against Louisville at the bottom of the ACC, with Virginia setting its sights on what would be another ACC regular season championship. They've got 5 in the last 9 years.
That's amazing. And it's just a model of stability with different groups. Tony's done such a phenomenal job of integrating young with his older guys. I mean, you got a guy like Kihei Clark that's been through it, and Reese Beekman that's been through it, and you bring in an Armaan Franklin, you bring in a Jayden Gardner, you bring in Ben Vanderplas, and they just come together. The system is so strong with room for improvement, and they're playing good basketball right now at the end. I know they haven't scored as easily, and some of that is because they don't create a lot of turnovers at all, and the other part of it is because they're not getting in the foul line as much.
And those losses to Boston College and North Carolina, what a cut, what a find done for Beekman.
That's where they've been so much better offensively, are those weak side, high wing slot cuts off baseline or middle penetration.
Driving kick lands in and out. Clark the rebound. Virginia runs.
That's where the communication can't drop. You got a minute 30 if you're Louisville. Try to finish this off.
Off the skip for McNeely. Saw the note. 12 assists on 12 made buckets for the Cavaliers.
See, this is where the hands, they've got to be up. Get your hands up. Put pressure on the ball.
Clark gets fouled.
Good drive.
11, Louisville. That's his first and the team's fifth.
We see this now. They come out of the timeout, okay? All five are moving. They're in the elbows. They run a curl cut with Franklin. He rips it. Brinkman does such a good job going left. And there is the cut by Dunn. And in their case, it's not the weak side wing as many times as it's the weak side elbow. And it's very, very hard to guard. It's very hard to guard because you watch that ball at all, and if you're not bodying up your cutter or knowing that your cutter is coming to the rim, it's a dunk just like that. You know, so many teams get their weak side cuts from the three-point line, and they do as well, but they are so good coming off that inside the arc elbow area off that drive.
And Clark good on both. Great free throw shooter in his career. He's got 5 points to go along with 3 assists in this first half, and it's Virginia by 15.
Not enough space. Oh my goodness, he got it.
Ellis got fouled.
He got it. No, good heads-up play by Ellis. Kihei was on him, but the hands weren't a little bit tight. I think he was anticipating the drive and then lifted him up. All right, he's got his hand on him. That's a good call. Good, smart heads-up play by Ellis.
Well, they say it's on the floor. Ellis was pleading otherwise, and it's the second foul on Kihei Clark, so he goes to the bench with 55 seconds until halftime.
Well, now you've got to get a layup, or you've got to get to the foul line. You can't come out and take a quick jump shot. You got to trim this lead down the best that you can with under a minute to go. Don't want an empty possession here if you're Louisville.
J.J. Traynor going to work on Ryan Dunn. Tough shot over the top from Traynor.
Good play. Very good play. And you know what's amazing about Traynor? Okay, he does such a great job of scoring for them outside on out-of-bounds plays. It's just amazing how the ball finds him on baseline and sideline out of bounds.
Been coming on recently. Last 4 games averaging 13 per. McNeely hoists and hits.
Great action. Armaan Franklin going left, delivers the ball. What they do so well is move on each other's penetration. They're in constant movement on that perimeter.
Ellis at the controls in the waning seconds. Around the corner, he lost it, and that is a business-like first half from Virginia with a lead crown on the line.
Watch Franklin. He attacks left. He's got Hatfield. He doesn't settle. They slip into the elbow, thinking they're going to stop the ball. McNeely slides right behind him. Open 3. Yeah, the points off turnover is 12-1. If they didn't have the ball movement, that would be the story of the game. Louisville's got to be much, much stronger. Playing through traffic, playing through contact on that pick and roll. And they've got to do a better job of facilitating those screens.
Second fewest points in a half at any point this season for Louisville with 20. And they're down by 16 entering this second half. Jalen Withers with a strong drive, and he draws a foul.
Very good possession. They got it reversed 3 times. They hit the paint twice. They make the kick out. They get a left-hand drive to the rim. That's what you got to do. You have to do that. And the ball screen game has got to become more efficient for them. But right there, they started it without it. And if they're moving the ball like that, problem for Louisville has been they don't stick with what's working for them. And the players break off and do their own thing, and you can't do that and be successful.
We talked about getting touches and reversals. That's something that Kenny Payne chatted with us about earlier today, that he is starting his mornings with passing and ball movement and cutting without dribbling.
I thought that was unbelievable what he said, that they go in at 8 o'clock during the season. And as I said to Kenny, as a coach, you never want to delegate what you enjoy doing the most. And long before Kenny Payne was a head coach, long before he got the reputation as a great recruiter, he was known as a player development coach. Whether it was in the NBA, whether it was Oregon, and even at Kentucky, there's a lot of millionaires running around the NBA right now that were touched by Kenny Payne's development. And that is going to serve him well as he builds this program.
Clark can knock it down. Good closeout from James, but the offensive rebound from Armaan Franklin.
Yeah, no hit on the block out. That's a very good action that they run. There's a double ball screen sequence in that for Virginia. I said it earlier, Kevin Ollie ran, that was his basic play. Most used play, I think, going to the national championship game years ago. But Louisville's got to block out. I mean, weak side rebounds, you've got to block out.
5-1 is the edge in favor of Virginia on offensive rebounds, and then Vanderplas forced the steal. Now Ellis runs it down for the Cards. James
Good
hard
drive.
Charging.
Good
Missed
drive.
it short. It belongs to Virginia.
That's an example right there. Use your left hand. That's what's going to happen in player development for a guy like Mike James. You didn't have to swing it back to your right hand. Just use your left hand and score the ball.
Kenny Payne is fired up. He wanted the call going in favor of his team along that sideline. Franklin's got 10. He's the leading scorer for Virginia. He got honored here on Senior Day. He does have a remaining year of eligibility if he wants a 5th season here in Charlottesville.
Watch Gardner on the slip. There it is.
You saw it coming.
Oh, yeah, because he set the flare, and they're backed off it. They got away from his body, and because they're playing the flare with 2 people, which just allows the slip. And Gardner is so good at the elbows. I would never leave him at that elbow. I mean, I might want to box in one from 15 feet in. I'm joking, but you cannot let him play free. He's too good.
Withers. Tough follow-away goes.
Yeah, you're not gonna make a living on that shot, but that's something that they needed to stem the tide. Now they got to bear down and get some stops here. Withers was on balance when he took that shot. Tough to be on balance with a turnaround, but he was.
So Franklin's got 10. Gardner's got 8. It's been well balanced for
there it
Virginia.
is again.
Falling away. No boxing one this time from 15 and in.
But we're going to have to do something if we're Louisville, because they're both playing the ball, and then there's nobody rotating over. You're not taking anything away putting 2 people on the flare screen.
Trainer on the offensive boards goes diving for it and rescues it out to James. They move it for Ellis. Short from deep. Trainer underneath with a putback.
That, we see it right there. That is one of the weaknesses. There's 3 things, and if Virginia's going to make a deep run, they've got to get better at. Number 1, they've got to close out better and not jump stop. They not pop their feet. They're too easy right now at times to get beat. They've got to be better with the weak side blockouts, and they've got to get better at guarding the ball one-on-one on movement.
Lob for Trainer, down to Withers. Can't follow his own miss. Good block out this time for Virginia. And Franklin gets fouled by Withers.
Very good. But again, that's where you've got to go up. If you're not going to dunk the ball, use the backboard. Give yourself every chance to make the shot. Look at the play, okay? Misses it. All right, takes a shot. Yeah. Inadvertent, going for the ball. Just trying to make a play on the ball.
So
Now,
Virginia.
Armaan may not agree with that when he's feeling it in his face, but he was just trying to make a play on the ball.
And Virginia goes back to work offensively. And Louisville in the zone for Kenny
switched it
Payne.
back up, which is good. Keeps them compact. But you got to get the hands up.
Vanderplas shuffled the feet and walks with it. All right, so Virginia, you said rebounding
Weak
concern,
side is their blockouts for sure.
and closeouts.
Closeouts, they have a tendency right now sometimes, and Franklin's got to get better at this. Gardner's got to get better at this. They jump stop, okay? They close you out on a long closeout, and they jump stop, which is too easy, rather than coming up, sliding their feet, smudging them, and then taking the first dribble. When you jump stop, it's really, really hard to have any balance to get back in front and take the first dribble. See, I think Ellis could do this more. I think Ellis could take on the big more and create fouls like that rather than trying to split. Not a bad play by Ellis.
Virginia's in control early on. It was emotional on Senior Day pregame, and he has gone to work against Louisville.
Yes, I almost teared up watching him tear up, but he is playing at such a high level. He sets the screen right there. There's no help. When you're defending the screener, okay, you have got to do a good job of staying connected to that man because it allows a slip. And Vanderplas does more popping. Gardner does more slipping, and there's no ball pressure, and there's no connection to the man. It makes it that much easy, and they are so good at reading each other at Virginia that plays like that are just a normal part of their offense.
How much of what you have seen from Tony Bennett's offense today and on film do you like and give you confidence going forward toward the NCAA tournament?
I like it a lot. I think they could do even more with Kihei and the ball screen, because what he can do is he can see and he can develop. They do such a good job of making the next pass, or on the drive from the wings or on the drive from the corners. But I think it's good. I think they need Ben. If they're going to make a run, Ben Vanderplas has got to be a good three-point shooter for them from that 5 spot.
He's 5 in white, the 6th-year senior, the Ohio transfer, as Gardner faces up for 2 more. And for Vanderplas, Tony Bennett again reiterated to us pregame that Vanderplas is dealing with back issues that he has been dealing with for a few weeks. At times during the last few weeks, he's had a brace on the bench on his lower back when he checks out of games. And Tony Bennett told us he thinks Vanderplas is getting better, and that would be huge because he's a connector for them offensively.
Well, look at him in his stance right now. Look at how he's playing. He's down, he's moving, he's sprinting out of the pick-and-roll trap to get back in the paint. Great cut. Great cut by Ellis. Nice pass. Lance kept his eyes up. Very good pass. But Vanderplas is a weapon. He so many times they'll curl off of him and he'll step back behind for a 3 because the defenders are trying to play the curl. He can really make people pay. He creates even better spacing for the Virginia offense when he's making 3s.
Gardner's cooking right now.
Gardner's like in the gym shooting by himself right now. There's no hand up. All right, you know what he's coming with. You've got to get your hand up and challenge the shot. But he's so good in that mid-range area.
And then Kihei Clark doing Kihei Clark things. Just hounding Ellis and forcing Ellis to use a Louisville timeout early on in this second half. As North Carolina is in the first 4 out, you see the second team out right now behind Arizona State. But, Tom Crean, if they're going to win in Chapel Hill, the keys for the Heels are what?
Right now, tonight, it's going to be shot selection. And I think they've got to go inside to Baycott. Pete Nance has got to take good shots, right? He did a very good job on Gardner last week. Gardner did not defend him to the level of what Virginia needs him to be. But there cannot be a slew of bad shots that turn into runouts for Duke, because that plays right into their hands.
6:30 ESPN, round 2 in that great rivalry. Shot clock winding down. Ellis, and a whistle away from the ball, and it's a foul that goes against Brandon Huntley-Hatfield in the post.
That was starting to be a good possession, I should say. They got the ball reversed, played out of the post up with Mike James. Those are the kind of turnovers that just hurt you. You come out of a timeout, you drew something up, it's on the way to working or getting the look that you want, and it doesn't happen.
10 turnovers, 10 buckets as well for Louisville.
It's the unforced turnovers. It's one thing to turn it over in a trap. It's another one to turn it over on a screen.
Kihei Clark out of the game right now. And the zone again for Kenny Payne. Beekman's had a great day. 7 assists without a turnover for 2 in white. Franklin tried to hit that one from Stanton. Caffaro kept it alive to McNeely.
Caffaro is going to be open on a drop-off.
Boy, they didn't need it. Just keeps coming. This guy just keeps coming.
Well, that's having a pretty good teacher to watch in Jayden Gardner, right? And being in that situation for Dunn to make that shot, because they're going to need him to be a player like Gardner is. He had a play the other night against Clemson. He blocked his shot, took off, ran the floor, got a lob on the other end. Very, very good play for Ryan Dunn.
Curry gets the roll for Louisville. Ryan Dunn, 10 points, 5 rebounds against Clemson Tuesday. Second most points he's had in a game this season, and he had been quiet the previous half-dozen games. His classmate McNeely knocks it down, plus a foul.
Just a beautiful 3. His shot is so compact. Gives the shot fake, takes the dribble, stays in the motion of his shot, foul. I mean, when McNeely understands the level of defense he's got to play for Tony Bennett, he is going to be so much better in this program because he can shoot it.
1 shot.
They call him IMAC from Poco, West Virginia. Takes more than 70% of his field goals from 3. Can't stamp it. Curry the rebound.
Yeah, falls back off the line. Fade it off. Stay in your shot, shooters. Stay in your shot. Go forward, not backwards.
Sounds simple, but you got to do it.
Yeah, and you've got to remind them to do it. You got to remind yourself to do it. Those are just little fundamental things. No one goes to the foul line with the intention of missing. But it's the reminders that do the deal.
Oh, that is a deep one for Ellis. Came up short. Good battle on the boards. And Fabio Basili with the putback.
Yeah, Yeah, they had 3 on the glass. They come up with it. It's a tough 3, but they get on the glass and come up with it.
Vasily, the 6'4" freshman from Orlando, has now played in the last few games after not being in there for Kenny Payne for about a month. Beekman comes to get it. Shot clock at 10. McNeely. Ellis draped out him. Dunn. Same spot. Missed it wide left.
Better shot challenge, but he'll eventually get that. He's got to slip and get his hands up even quicker to create more space when he makes that catch.
Dunn the rebound.
Quick threes. That you don't need those right now. They're open, but you need to get this game to the rim where you've got a chance to get to the foul line. It's a 16-point game with 11:30 to go. You're not going to get back in there just firing 1 pass threes.
McNeely slashing and finishing.
Again, that's vintage Virginia basketball. A curl cut, come off tight, can attack off out of either corner when they hit that curl. Very good finish.
7 for McNeely. Trainer lowering the shoulder on Dunn, carving out space and scoring off the glass.
That's one of the things that Kenny Payne has done a very good job of, especially in the last couple of weeks. If you can get a post-up ISO off movement, it's good. And that was very good. They drove it out of the corner, got into the running post-up. There's no double right now.
Caffaro finishes.
It was only a matter of time because they're losing sight of him down low underneath. Good heads-up play by Franklin to drop it off.
Ellis off the ball screen, trying to attack Caffaro. James drives on Franklin. Caffaro helps. James turns it over.
Yeah, there's nobody down there except the longest defender in the gym, and that's the baseline. You don't need to drive it to the baseline.
He's 7'1". He can.
It's so easy in this day and age to find talent. It's easy to find players. He's got to find people that will absolutely play the way he envisions Louisville playing. He's got one coming in Caleb Glenn from La Lumiere, and then the other one, tradition never graduates. They have one of the great traditions in college sports, let alone college basketball, with so many pros. And the NIL is a big part of the game right now. There's no doubt about that. And Louisville should be able to compete with that. They need to remind people that they know how to turn out great teams, pros, people that have had success outside of basketball. And that tradition of that program, those former players have got to rally even more to help as time goes on. I think they are, but it's going to be so important for them to do even more as they build this program back up.
You can change a roster way faster than you ever could before in college basketball. When you look at this roster, who are the first guys you would say, I need to retain these guys? They have to be back next.
Well, it depends on how Ellis wants to test it and see what he's thinking. But I think right now, there's no doubt everybody's going to improve if you have a great spring and summer. But I would start with Mike James and J.J. Traynor. And I really would. Those guys are young. They've got to be core in this. Brandon Huntley-Hatfield's got to get better. He's got to get in great shape. Not good shape, great shape. Up and down the floor. Develop more of a perimeter game. There's improvement levels that everyone at Louisville can get to. And it really, if you're Kenny Payne right now, you're not waiting for them to come in the gym. You're assigning that time. Like, this is when we're getting better. And you don't leave it up to people. You make them better, and then you see where you stand. And then as you recruit, you're recruiting constantly to how you want to play. Not just to who's in the portal, not just to what they want, NIL, not just to who's recruiting them. What do they bring my team that can help me win at Louisville?
You said you would take a couple of days after the season, but you truly mean like 5 days and then it's back to individual
Exactly
work.
what I mean. Yeah, I don't think you're coming off this season. Yeah, they can break later. They don't need a week. I guess you got to take a week. I take that back. You've got to take the time. Whatever that time is with the NCAA is right now, I'd be ready to go the next day. No doubt in my mind. I know there's a little bit of time off, but that's how you're going to find out who's with you, right? Who wants to get better. If they're not about getting better, I don't know how you stay, right? But that's the bottom line with the program.
Caffaro gets fouled and connects on the first. Hey, our NBA Saturday primetime game on ABC and the ESPN app. Great one in the Eastern Conference. Sixers and the Bucks, who have won 16 in a row. Coverage starts with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. You just just saw the Sixers earlier this week.
I did. I saw the Sixers and the Mavericks. It was the game where Luka and Kyrie combined first time in Mavericks history for over 40. Tyrese Maxey was unbelievable in that game. They were down 20-plus, and he brought them all the way back. But that game will be phenomenal. Joel Embiid, I look up. I think he's got 15. He's got 27. And just amazing how easy he scores.
Like clockwork. Giannis is back. Bucks still rolling. Vasily off the shot fake. Finds Ellis. Knocks it down. And Ellis, with under 9 to go, connects from deep. He's got 14, and it's down to 15.
That was a very good possession. Very good driving kick possession. Ready to shoot it. Ellis has got to trust that catch and shoot more just like that.
Beekman off a screen. 8 assists, no turnovers. Clark, short. Dunn battles on the boards, but Vasily whisks it away. Ellis drives and draws a foul.
So McNeely's got to get better. There's a guy coming down full head of steam. You got to take that first dribble. It's easier said than done, but that's going to be the next step for him. For Virginia to continue to be the Virginia that Tony Bennett has made this, both McNeely and Dunn have got to improve their defensive abilities, be more active with their hands, be better guarding the dribble, be more physical around the bucket if they get caught in a post-up.
By take the dribble, you mean stop the ball and prevent him from getting by you with
take
one.
a bigger first step.
Kept alive underneath, and there's one of your guys, J.J. Traynor, on the second effort for Louisville.
He can do things. He really can. Consistency has got to become the #1 goal for him at Louisville moving forward, because he shows flashes. Traynor definitely shows flashes.
Junior, who's got the biggest role of his career this season. It's a kick out of Vasily. And with 8 to go in Charlottesville, Louisville is hanging around, down 13 at John Paul Jones Arena. Kihei Clark, who Cavaliers fans know was a one-time UC Davis commit and then decommitted. And Tony Bennett had been looking at someone else on the recruiting trail, but he felt that wasn't going Virginia's way anymore. So he re-engaged with Kihei Clark, and he called the UC Davis coach, Jim Less, about Clark. And Tony Bennett started to think, hey, maybe the small guy has a role, that type of player and that type of body. And then there's something to be said about a player who wants to be at your school.
That's the biggest thing, because he has represented this school and this program on the court in such a way he makes everybody better with his presence, because he delivers the ball. He's become a better shooter. If you go under the pick and roll, he's going to take it and knock it down. He leads the team in free throw attempts. He just makes the game so much easier. And I think what great leaders do, they make everybody feel safer because they're in the game with them. Now, most teenage guys, 21, they're not going to say, hey, man, you make me feel safe. But you feel better when he's in the game.
Might be something more like, that's my guy.
Yeah, that's another word for I'm better when you're on the floor.
And Kihei Clark has made teammates that way for 5 years, and now playing in his final home game in Charlottesville in game number 157 of his career. And he's the guy that opposing coaches always single out in the handshake line postgame and talk about in the postgame press conference.
Well, he just means so much to the program, and he won a championship at a young age, but he epitomizes what they want to do on offense and defense, and rarely gets rattled. It's very, very hard to take Kihei Clark out of a game by pressure. Good pass.
Lob for Gardner from Beekman.
That's what Virginia needed. That's what this crowd needed. That is not what Louisville needed, was a back screen lob for Gardner.
Louisville had got it down to 13. We have less than 7 to go in this second half. Again, Virginia eyeing a share of the ACC regular season
Look at turn
title.
the pressure up. Look at the pressure. Making everything high. They've got to get back to taking on that ball screen, but Kihei Clark has turned it up on Ellis here.
Initiating at midcourt with 4 to shoot. Lob for Roosevelt Wheeler.
Why did they all rally to the ball? They forgot about Wheeler underneath. Great play by Ellis, because Kihei Clark was locking him up. Great play.
Ellis, who has had so much on his shoulders this year for the Cards, 14, and that dime to Roosevelt Wheeler. Vanderplas got Wheeler in the air and finished.
The curl and slip at it again. They get great movement. They always set that screen up with their footwork. They forced that screener's man to make a decision. That was the wrong decision. Vanderplas wide open.
team's fifth.
Great job by Clark. He opens up a little bit. Ellis keeps his eyes up the whole way, finds Wheeler behind it as they all rally thinking Ellis going to shoot it. But there's nobody to play Vanderplas on ball side. They have to rotate across, leave their feet. So hard to guard them in a two-man game. So hard to guard them. You can't always try to take away the curler.
And then a good sign from Ben Vanderplas. He stamped the three-point play. He stayed more than an hour after the game Tuesday with his recent free throw woes, working on free throws after that win over Clemson.
Well, Tony said to us before the game that he's worked on where he releases his shot. What I've seen from him, because he was in the 70s back at Ohio, is he falls back off that line too much. And he falls early. And so that he's not giving himself a chance to get a bounce. I mean, stay in your shot. He did a better job of that right there.
Mike James back with 2. He's into double figures with 11, the redshirt freshman from Orlando.
Slip again.
Gardner, nearly automatic from the mid-range.
If you're Louisville, understand time and score. Not a time for a quick one. Time for a good one. Get to the basket.
That a good one?
No. A turnaround from 17 feet, you can make it, but you're on the road and momentum was starting to come your way. It's still a 14-point game with 5 minutes to go. You need to get something going to the rim or get something in the paint that opens up a kick-out three, not a turnaround jump shot.
Ellis fouls Clark near midcourt. Hey, UFC 285 tonight from T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Another stacked card, 2 title fights. Long-awaited return, couple years in the making for John Jones, who has packed on the pounds. Main card starts 10 Eastern on pay-per-view. Prelims 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. To get the main card in English and Spanish, go to ESPNplus.com/PPV. Franklin off a curl.
Franklin off a curl going left. He's so good going left out of that right corner.
He came over to say hi to you pre-game.
Know him. We tried to recruit him when I was at Georgia. When he left Indiana, I've known him a long time. He was a young player when I was coaching at Indiana. But this is one thing that they do such a great job of. They get set up in the corner. They set their cut up. All right, he curls. They bring 2 men to the ball. So Trainer's trying to play the ball as well. When Franklin has struggled, he has not finished through his eyes. That was a great play. Finishing through your eyes, taking moderate contact, but going up strong, either using the backboard or getting it over the top of the rim. Great heads-up fundamental play from Franklin.
Through your eyes means what?
Through your eyes, you score through your shoulders. You separate with your feet. But when you go up to your shot, like that basically becomes a reach layup because you're trying to reach over the defender to get it over the top of the rim. You can't drop your eyes early, especially with contact. You want to finish with your eyes, watch the ball go through the net or watch it go off the backboard. But a lot of times guys drop their head when they get hit because they're bracing for that contact, and then that drops their eyes.
James, his three-point play, gets it back down to 13. More than 4 to go, second half. Virginia leading here at home. Clark with a shimmy and a step back on Ellis. He wants a deep one. Can't knock it down. Rebound Basili, and momentum for Louisville with the basketball.
It is. You've got to get a good look if you're Louisville. This is where you figure that's a good look.
Trainer
What's a good look? Great defense. Great defense. This is where Louisville's got a chance. Don't lose hold of the rope right here. Keep a hold of the rope as a team. We talked about that with Kenny. When it starts to go wrong, you still got to hold on. You still got to keep coming. Right now, it's a 13-point game.
With 3.5 left, Clark attacks Trainer. Bounces for Dunn.
There's finishing with your eyes, and there's never dropping your eyes on the drive. And that's one thing Kihei Clark does a phenomenal job of. He plays with his head up. He keeps his eyes up. And he can make something out of nothing. In this case, finding the man cutting underneath on the baseline. Great play by Dunn.
He and Beekman have combined for 16 assists for Virginia. Withers, wraparound for Basili. Shot clock at 3. It's James attacking. And James draws a foul.
That's a good play. That's a good play. Virginia, you're not getting ready for these cuts and screens and back cuts and constant movement in a walkthrough in the ballroom at the hotel. You're just not doing it. And I think they get through the first game. It serves them well because they're so hard to get ready. And people say, well, they played them all year. No, you have, but you haven't been preparing for them for days on an end. And that's where they are so good, because they play off each other so well in the cutting and the movement game.
What do you like about Duke right now?
I like Whitehead. I like the way that he's playing. I think Roach has got to be phenomenal for them. I think Proctor's got to get back to being the guy that he's been all year, because he's surprised people, but he's efficient. I like their energy, and I like the fact that I think they in a tournament setting, they've got some depth.
John Shire has said going into the big matchup with North Carolina tonight, again 6:30 on ESPN, that he does feel like they're playing their best basketball at both ends of the season, and that they have found a new level before that matchup with the Heels.
Well, they've gotten better. Their players have gotten better, and there's no doubt that was a foul.
Wasn't called.
No,
Vanderplas cleans it up.
Gardner's not going to lose the ball like that very often, but I'm trying. For the guys back in the studio, there's going to be Phil. I'm trying, but they're not listening.
You know when you get a Virginia game that it probably isn't going to fill the 2-hour window.
No, you're exactly right.
Now, if you get Virginia and Notre Dame, you might not even be on for an hour and 45 minutes.
You can do a college basketball live show back at the studios in Bristol.
Yeah, Kevin Connors is warming up the engine right now. He's babysitting Jordan Cornette and Dallin Cuff.
And Dallin, yeah, they're there. Those two are getting ready to break down some games that they didn't think they were going to have to.
2:02 to go here in the second half, with Virginia up by 15, and L. Ellis to the free throw line once again, where he's 6 of 6. Hey, a loaded day over on ESPN and the app. We told you some great matchups, couple top 10 affairs, Texas and Kansas, who has already won the Big 12, UCLA and Arizona, and then tucked in the middle, Duke, Carolina. Bacon is on the line when you get 2 free throw misses in Charlottesville.
And they got it. Do we get some too? I'll take mine shipped to the house in Florida.
Overnight it to the Sunshine State.
Pre-cooked.
Ellis with a couple of misses at the stripe. Franklin goes spinning and attacking, and through his eyes finishes.
No question. It took the hit. There's not enough to call a foul, but he just attacks left so well, and he doesn't waste dribbles. That's where Armaan Franklin has gotten so much better. The dribbles matter. They're not wasted. They're out in front, and he's in an attacking mode.
Double team nearly forced a turnover, and Mike James finishes, and he's up to 18 with a chance at another three-point play.
He can get to the basket. When he develops a consistency in his shot, when he gets game recognition, decision-making, he can post up, he can get to the basket in the sense of off the drive. He's got to become a better cutter, but he can make strides.
Three-point play indeed for Mike James. Full court pressure on Clark inbounding. Chance of we want Chase for the senior walk-on. Chase Coleman is down on Tony Bennett's bench. And when you talk about senior day, you wonder about the future. Armaan Franklin, he's a senior. He's got another year. And Reese Beekman is a junior. He's top 40 in our ESPN NBA draft rankings. What do you think of those two guys?
Well, I think Beekman, I don't think there's any question. I had an NBA executive say something to me this week talking about Virginia. And I quote, he said, their kids tend to overachieve their draft position because they do all the little things. And that's from an NBA exec that's won a championship, so he knows what he's talking about. Bottom line is, when you get a Virginia guy, you're going to get a guy that has the fundamentals, that knows the value of both ends, that knows the value of being a teammate.
You know that Beekman will bring defense. We got to fill out our ballots for the ACC awards. He might be my vote for Defensive Player of the Year in this conference.
Well, and he's improved so many things. He has very good length, good hands by Franklin. One thing that they're so good at, Virginia, they go after that ball. They get in the gaps, they go after the ball.
A minute and 3 seconds away for Virginia from a share of the ACC regular season title. It would be the 6th in 10 years for Tony Bennett. And at Virginia, the previous 60 years, it was 5 ACC regular season crowns, and he's trying to go 6 in 10 years.
What he's done in his coaching career, obviously his playing career, but his father, obviously a legend. I coached against him my first year at Marquette. The second year, he decided to retire, and Brad Soderberg took over. Tony deserves a lot of credit for what went on at Wisconsin when he was an assistant coach there. With the recruiting that they did of Devin Harris, the recruiting that they did of a guy named Kirk Penny, who really enabled or allowed Bo Ryan to play his system at such a high level. Tony's a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, he just is. I mean, he's won everywhere he's been. He's done it with improvement. He's done it with unselfishness, and they just keep getting better, and they're committed to how they play.
Inside of a minute to go, Caffaro commits a foul on Mike James.
We got a little tug of war going right now between the 16,000 people here that want Chase to come in, and is Tony Bennett going to do it?
Would you hear it when you were coaching?
Absolutely.
You can't avoid it.
Oh, yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it. Coaches that say they don't hear, they're not telling the truth. Now, are you locked in, or are you living by it?
Here he comes.
He heard him. Tony's going to break a smile at some point. Not yet, but he's going to break a smile at some point.
And look who's coming out. Kihei Clark one final time.
Yeah, I may have some tears. That's awesome. That's awesome. Just awesome. That's one of the most decorated, winningest players to ever wear an ACC uniform, certainly a Virginia uniform, but be in the ACC. Amazing.
The ACC's all-time leader in wins and in minutes, and Virginia's all-time leader in wins, games, starts, and assists. Kihei Clark in Charlottesville. An ovation well-deserved. And Tony Bennett took a timeout here with 37 seconds to go just for a couple of substitutions.
Yep. Very good. Nothing like those moments, Mike, when you get a chance to bring those guys off and a win on their final home game. Nothing like it.
Back in 30.
T-Mobile has the new Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus for free and price lock guarantee. Do you?
Well, yes.
Switch to T-Mobile and get a free Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus with no trade-in required.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh! No, he didn't. Oh, that's amazing.
We welcome you back to Charlottesville. They kept on playing. What did Chase Coleman do? The senior walk-on on
Chase
senior
Coleman
day.
lined it up, and he took a three, falling back and drilled it, and the place went berserk, and Tony Bennett even smiled.
A guy who wants to go into coaching. He could maybe go play somewhere next year if he wants to, and if not, he very well might be, we were told pregame, a GA on this Virginia coaching staff next year. He gets his moment, and Virginia, here at home in Charlottesville, wins another ACC regular season crown. They've got a share of the league title.
Nothing like winning a championship. Nothing like it. Congratulations to Virginia. There's so much work that goes into getting to a moment like this. Well deserved.
For the 6th time